Hello class, this is Mr. Boovie. We are going to be working on lesson 1.1 in your Algebra 1 packet today. And we're going to take a look at variables and expressions. So our objective for today is going to be to write algebraic expressions. So this is Algebra 1, and you need to be able to write out sentences using algebra. So here we go. A mathematical quantity is anything that can be measured or counted. So some quantities remain constant, while others change or vary. So numbers that don't change are just the numbers themselves, and those are constants. So constants are like 5 or 3 or -2, 0. These are all examples of constants. They do not change. They are the number that they are. Numbers that are allowed to change, or quantities that are allowed to change, are known as variables. So these are quantities. Let's go ahead and define this in your notes. Copy this down. These are quantities that may change. We typically use a letter in math, usually X, to represent them with a letter, such as X. Like X, that's the most famous. Now what we want to do is let's take a look at the getting ready here. It wants us to consider the population of Florida, the area of the state of Colorado, the number of states in the United States, and the flight time from Pittsburgh to Los Angeles. So to get you thinking about what it means to vary or change, let's look at these 4 things and tell me which ones do you think might change over time. So let's talk about the population of Florida. Do you think that changes from time to time or from year to year? If it does, we'll highlight it with green. If it does not, we'll highlight it with sort of that pink down here at the bottom. Okay? So I'm going to pause the video. I want you to do the same. Think about which ones you think will change over time and which ones will stay relatively constant over time. And then it'll pop up which is which. There we go. I have 2 of them changing over time and 2 of them staying relatively the same. The area of Colorado does not change. It's a set amount, the square miles that state takes up in the United States. That stays the same. And the number of states in the United States, it's been 50 for a long, long time, several decades. So those are known as constant amounts. Okay, constants. They remain the same. The other 2, the flight time from Pittsburgh to LA and the population of Florida, those are known as variables because they change. Think about going from Pittsburgh to LA. That flight time might be different based on the weather or based on the route that the pilot will take. Population of Florida, you have people moving in and out of the state, so it will change. An algebraic expression, let's go down there, will be an expression that involves a variable and a constant, like x plus 5 or 3 times x, or how about 16 minus x. Those are all known as algebraic expressions, and there's really nothing we can do with them. There's nothing to solve. A numerical expression would be an expression with all numbers, like 3 plus 8, or let's see, 18 divided by 3. Those are numerical expressions, and you can actually do something with those. We can add 3 and 8 and get 11. We can divide 18 by 3 and get 6. So numerical expressions, you might have some work to do, versus algebraic expressions, you just sort of leave them like that. Okay? Next, let's go to the table, where we're going to talk briefly about some operations that we're going to see in math. And the first one is addition, and these are some terms that you might see with addition: more than, the total, it's increased by. You're used to seeing this as plus, 5 plus x. But you might think of it as x more than 5. All right, those are two word phrases we could use to describe 5 plus x. For the next one, n minus 7, this is subtraction, and I already did the first one for you. You might say n minus 7. The one that students often mess up is less than, and they often say this backwards. And I'm going to show you the right way to say it. I would say 7 less than n. Notice how I said it backwards. 7 less than n is the correct way of saying that. With multiplication, we have the product of 4 and y. You might call this 4 times y or 4 multiplied by y. And another way you might see it is with the word of. Like if I say 1/3 of x, you could write it 1/3 times x. That's what we mean. It's usually when you have a fraction. Okay? Let's see. The last one will be division, and the technical term is the quotient. It's the quotient of two things, but you're probably used to seeing it as divided by. So I would say n divided by 2 for both of these. Okay? So the purpose of this video was just to get you warmed up with some math. It's been a long summer. Get back into the swing of things. We have some examples on the next page for you to try. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and do A, D, and that's it. I'll do A and D for you. Why don't you do the rest for tomorrow, and that's where we'll pick up. A, 32 more than a number n. So n, 32 more would increase. That's what they're asking you to do. N plus 32. All right? For D, the quotient of a number n and 5 would be n divided by 5. Or you might write it as a fraction, n divided by 5. Okay, so read through these others, B, C, E, F, G, and H, and go ahead and fill your answers in. And let's see those tomorrow when you come into math with Mr. Snodgrass and me. Okay, we'll see you then.